for our generation, and we're the ones who are going to live with these laws longer than the older generation, but we haven't really been part of the process of the consultation of defending our liberties at the table with governments because a lot of the volunteers and people who run the shooting organizations are older, they've acquired their wealth. Good for them. They lived in a time when that was possible in Australia to buy a home and all the rest of it. So it's very hard for the younger generation to have the time to volunteer to help the fight. And then we end up in a situation where it's entrusted to the older generation who might have different priorities than us and might not be thinking about 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm literally sitting here wondering if by the time I have children, will I even be able to teach them the skill of hunting like my dad did? Will I even be able to teach them how to shoot and handle a firearm safely? Or will it just get to the point in Australia where we are so restricted and it's too difficult to get a gun? And the government has made it out of reach for many Australians that it just destroys an entire culture and it destroys hunting traditions, something that the hunter gatherer, that's what we came from. Hunting has been a part of man since the dawn of time. So that's something that I think about and I don't think that the leaders of our shooting organizations and the establishment, they're not going in with that mentality, nor are they going in with the mentality of how does it affect individuals. When the veterans were disarmed in Western Australia, some of the messages and conversations I had with those men who served for our country were just devastated, heartbreaking to be treated like that by the government that you served overseas. This is the kind of thing we're talking about. It's an emotional thing. It's something very personal that we do, and we shouldn't have to justify to the state why we should be allowed to continue to do something, a tradition that's as old as time, something that's part of our culture. We shouldn't have to be in this position. That's what I mean by the injustice. And that's what keeps me going is when I see injustice, especially towards a community like the shooters and hunters, who are the ones out there providing a public service, who are helping our farmers on the weekend, who are out there protecting native species by eradicating pest species, who are controlling native species numbers when they get too big and it destroys our wildlife. This is something that we do voluntarily, that we do for free, not even for free, that we pay for our own equipment, our ammunition, that we practice, practice, practice with our firearms so that we're ethical about the things that we do. And when I see governments come in with a heavy hand or the boot of the state on our necks, which is what's happening in WA, because they have a philosophical opposition to what we do and they don't listen to the people who provide evidence that shows no, the 5 gun limit will be inhumane for hunters. Even the RSPCA WA acknowledges that. When you see governments keep going down their own line without listening to the people, and the shooting organisations who are meant to be protecting and promoting the shooting sports, that's SSAA's mantra, that's when I say we have a problem with the establishment, we have a problem with how democracy works, and that's why I feel it's my duty to say, speak, tell my truth from all my years of experience, including working for SSAA National, working for Shooters Union up in Queensland, working in politics for Senator David Lynelm, Aaron Stonehouse in WA, David Limbrick in Victoria. I mean, my resume is quite substantive, but I'm sitting here in my dad's gun room trying to keep up the fight by myself because my professional career was destroyed following my Senate campaign and following some nasty politics that one day, I will be able to go public with.